Okay. Oh, hold on. Gotta pull my pants up. Okay. So I recently agreed to edit my little cousin's videos too. And I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna do that while uploading every week, going to school and working. Why do I have such a problem with saying no? Okay, that's what we're gonna talk about today. I have such a problem with saying no to people. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm really good when I'm comfortable with people. I'm really good with like sharing my honest opinion. But when it comes to places like work or school or anywhere where I'm afraid of the consequences, that's everywhere. Basically, mostly everywhere. I feel like anywhere where I feel like I'm not as comfortable with someone, I always feel like I'm stuck saying yes to things. And by comfortable, I mean like I'm not fully, like I'm not, if I'm able to swear around you, that means I'm allowed to be myself. Okay, if I can't swear around you at the minimum, then I can't be myself around you. And that's just a normal part of, like, not everyone likes profanity, I get it, but there's like people in my life that just I can't act like myself around, like a certain family friends, certain adults. I can't act like myself around, and in front of them I'll have a hard time saying no. And so I feel like I have a hard time saying no because I'm afraid I'm gonna look, for this particular thing, I was afraid I was gonna look like a bad cousin. What does that even mean? So I said yes because I feel like I'm someone who's not really there a lot for the fam. Like, I'm often someone who says, I'm in between. My brother is someone who, you know, will distance himself from the family. He not distance himself, but he doesn't really get involved. My sister is more involved and I'm more in between. And I feel like I'm in between just because I've tried to be more involved, but people are kind of insulting. Like, people are kind of mean sometimes. Like, I've been told I'm like unreliable and because I can't do something right and stuff like that. So I don't wanna, I'd rather not be a part of the drama. So I just kind of, like, I'm in between when it comes to how involved I am. So because of that, I guess there's like a little bit of guilt over how involved I am. So so I'm working on that thing that I'm uploading. Anyways, okay. So I have such a hard time saying no to people because I'm like, I guess I'm afraid I'm gonna be looked at like a bad person. I'm afraid I'm gonna get yelled at. Can you not do that? I'm afraid I'm gonna get punished by the universe. That's something that I get afraid of. Like, I'm afraid, like, I'm into manifestation and stuff, so I feel like a lot of the time I get afraid that I'm gonna get punished by the universe. And by that I mean I'm afraid I'm gonna get weird karma or something. Karma is so subjective. What you think is wrong or right is so subjective. There are people out here, they're ICE agents dragging people from their homes, okay, and they're getting shit all as punishment. You can't tell me that karma is like, you can say like, oh, they're gonna get their karma, but how do you know they're gonna get their karma? There are people who are part of the Nazis who just kind of, after they left the Nazis, they just got to live their life. And you can argue that maybe, you know, they were brainwashed into these ideologies, which is true, which is why, but you know, in the moment when you're punishing someone for their religious beliefs or their skin color, you know what I'm like, a lot of these people on the internet, people who are part of like the alt-right, a lot of them are brainwashed, right? But there's a certain point where brainwashing becomes an excuse. You know what I'm saying? When you see people when you see racism with your own eyes, when you see someone and you start excusing it with things, I don't know. Like, yeah, like I don't know if I have compassion for that person. I don't know if I have compassion for the person who is so brainwashed to the point where they're not like, it's like they're allowing themselves to be brainwashed. And so where was I going with this? This conversation was about how I have a hard time saying no, but I somehow started talking about brainwashing and Nazi ideologies. I guess yeah, where the fuck was I going with this? Okay, so when it comes to saying no and yes, no specifically. So at work, I've been taking on quite a bit of hours. Obviously, I don't work. Okay, so I go to school half the week and I work half the week. And during the days that I work, I take on like 9-10 hour days. They're long and exhausting. I get no time to myself. And so I'm lucky I live at home where my mom is able to help me out with dinner and stuff, because I don't know how people do this with families. And I don't know. Anyways, or like, even if like, say if, like, one of my coworkers, this is her first job, and she had to invest in like a tiffin service, which I thought was a really good idea, because she's like, it's too hard to make dinner. Like, you work 9-hour days. It's exhausting. And then they don't pay you like a great amount for the work that you do. And so it can, okay, so I've been trying to, it can get exhausting, right? So I've been trying to move myself out of this workplace, and I've been trying to find other workplaces. I've been trying to do more YouTube. Obviously, I'm trying to do more school. But I guess because I'm so scared of the consequences, I'm afraid to go and tell my workplace, like, cut down my hours. The first time I cut down my hours was so hard for me. It was so hard for me to tell them, like, hey, can you cut down my hours? Because they can, like, negotiate with you, right? They tell you, like, oh, okay, can you do this much? Can you do this? I somehow agreed to doing online work during the week when I'm not at work. Why would I agree to that? Why the fuck would I? You know why? Because they fucking try to negotiate with you even though you're like, yo, I cannot. So basically, I have a hard time putting my foot down in these situations, especially in this particular workplace. They like to exploit people. Who doesn't, apparently? But I mean, like, not like, most people don't like to exploit people, but what business doesn't like to exploit people? You know what I'm saying? There are businesses who don't exploit people, but for the most part, like, I don't work at a fancy smancy startup that, you know, cares about sustainability. I work at a private school that cares about profit and not even grades and student learning experience, okay? They've told me that specifically. They care more about the profit. And that's why I hate private schools. Why do I work at one? Because I can't find a job anywhere else. Canada's job market is so weird. Like, I don't know. I've applied everywhere. I got another interview at another private school, but they didn't, after the interview, they didn't follow up, which is technically illegal, and I want to call the labor board on them. Because that's a new law that got passed, that, like, if you do an interview with somebody, I don't know if it's Ontario or Canada, but if you do an interview with somebody of, hold on, let me double check. So basically, the law apparently is that okay, I found it. Ontario has recently passed a new requirement that changes how employers must respond to interviewed candidates, and it takes effect on January 1st, 2026. So technically, what they didn't do was illegal because it was right before the holidays. But basically, if they don't reply to you, so Ontario employers generally must contact you after an interview to tell you the outcome within 45 days. Unfortunately, I had the interview before this fucking law passed, so I don't even care. I don't want to work there. It seemed like a lot harder. I say that, like, I don't want to work there. They don't want to hire me, but I don't want to. I'm not interested in working at another private school. That's not what I want to do. And so what, what do I want to do? I want to fucking make YouTube videos and upload every week. But that's kind of wishful thinking, because I have to consistently upload, and I have to create a following somehow, by uploading consistently and doing my best, by editing properly. I don't know, I just edit. There's not really a specific technique I use when I edit. I just edit in a way, like, I look at the video and I'm like, is this entertaining? Can I watch this without wanting to throw up? Then it's a good video. Hopefully you guys don't throw up watching my videos. Can you imagine? You're just like, there was my old videos, I used to do a lot of like where, like, when I was editing, I'd pop in like no makeup. Like, say if this was the video, right? I'd pop in mid video without any makeup, like this, while I was editing, and be like, oh, just to add. And sometimes I watch the video and be like, that's a little scary. Like, I look terrifying. Me and my glasses and my beady little eyes. When I wear my glasses, my eyes get so tiny. I don't know why. And so when I wear my contacts, I like to play up my eyes by because I have to deal with tiny eyes when I wear my glasses. So I like to play up my eyes when I... Oh, someone's in the kitchen. Who's in the kitchen? That was so embarrassing. My sister heard the whole thing. Can you hear me? Big guy. Big guy.
Why are you eating my food?
Big guy.
I think you did it, avoid it. Ew, don't put it back.
You put it back.
What? No.
It looks like you guys are coming out of the jungle.
Leftovers.
Hey. Oh. Can you guys see me okay? How's the light? Ooh, that added a little bit of a difference. But I don't know if I want that. Okay. I had to come out here because oh yeah, because my sister and my mom were back downstairs. Like, they were hearing me do my video, and it was like really awkward, and I didn't want to talk. So now I'm here. Okay, so tomorrow my plan is to go into work and tell them I can't work mornings anymore. So I can only work after 12, right? And so it's just, so my plan is to go in tomorrow and say I can't work mornings anymore. I can only work after lunch. So I can only work from 12 to whatever time. I guess I'm worried that, like, there's no fixing this job, because if you say, like, I have to say specifically that I can only work from the hours of like 12 to 6:30, or I can only work from the hours of because if I say I can't work at 12, they're just gonna make me work late. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if I say I can't work early, they're just gonna make me work late. And so I feel like a lot of people are like, well, it's a job, you have to work. It's a part-time job, okay? I cut down my hours to part-time. I'm now part-timer, okay? And on top of that, I'm not even like a proper taxed employee at this business. They hired me as an independent contractor, okay? I get paid a paycheck every month without CPP or EI, which is like employment insurance, or CPP is a Canadian pension plan. If you're not from Canada, then if you are employed in Canada, all of your okay, let's talk about Ontario laws. In Ontario, where I live, when you are legally employed, they have to do something like your employer, if you work full time for somebody and they set your hours, they have to take away they have to pay like some taxes, and they have to pay employment insurance. So they have to do take part in like paying employment insurance and take part in paying Canadian pension plan. It's not extra, it's just like extra work. It's not really extra money. It's just a way of like people avoiding paying taxes and stuff. And so, or extra fee, like doing the extra work of filing these things and sending it to the CRA. And so my employers don't do that for me legally. So Uber Eats does that with their employees. They hire them as independent contractors, meaning they don't have set hours. You're allowed to refuse shifts. And so basically you're allowed to choose your hours. Here's the thing. A lot of people think that Uber Eats is one of those apps where you get punished if you don't accept rides. But what I learned, okay, I don't know if this is true. So if, I would love it if people could comment if this video ever gets any views. But I've heard that Uber Eats, what they do is like they flag people who are desperate drivers. So if you always say yes to offers on the app, then you're flagged as a desperate driver. So you're more likely to say yes to really exploitative trips, meaning less money, longer distance, more labor, less cash. And the more lucrative, and if you're someone who only says yes to lucrative rides or trips, then you won't get flagged as a desperate driver, and they won't send those exploitative trips your way. You'll only get good ones. So you're basically filtering. Isn't that fucking crazy? If that's true. So I did Uber Eats with my mom for a little bit, and we said yes to all these trips because we thought we would be punished by the app if we didn't say yes. So like now I'm so mad like because we always said yes, because we were told one thing. We were told that you have to say yes to all the trips or else they're gonna punish you. You can't stop them from seeing you as someone who, like, they'll flag you in the system as someone who doesn't say yes to all the trips. And we thought that was a bad thing. So we said yes to all the trips. Turns out we might be flagged as desperate drivers, and so they're gonna send more exploitative trips our way because we're more likely to say yes to them. So what I think my neighbor's coming out, and I'm afraid she's gonna see me talking to myself, but that's okay. So what I'm gonna do, I don't want to be exploited, and I deserve to not be exploited. So I think I'm gonna have to like deal with a pay cut for a little bit. But then how would I pay for school? Like, I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna pay for. So I have to pay for school, and I have like 3 months to save up $3,000 to pay for my summer tuition. And that's gonna take some discipline, saving that much. Like, I have to save up probably around $1,000 every month. Because do the math, Robbie. So $1,000 every month for 3 months to make $3,000. And I make about $2,200 a month. So which is like, I'm very privileged. I get that. But here's the thing. I know people who make more and they don't have to say they're privileged. So I'm not gonna what I'm saying? Like, I get that I make more, but I'm not gonna sit here, and if people are gonna comment like, oh my god, that's so much, stop complaining. There are people who make way more than me, and they don't have to, they don't have to sit here and say, I mean, mind you, they're also not making a YouTube channel, so I guess I have to play my cards right. But the thing is, okay, so I understand $2,200 is a lot, right? For the cost of living, it can be hard. So I have a budget. I go by that budget, and I'm not always on, like, I'm not always aligned with my budget every month, just because it's hard to stick to your budget. You know, if your budget is kind of like a wish list. It's kind of like what you wish you spent your money on, and how you wish you spent your money. But it's essentially like, if you treat it like how you wish you spent your money, then you're gonna set unrealistic goals, right? Some people are like, I'm gonna spend this much on food, when they spend like 3 times the amount. Me, I do that. So for example, like, I put down that sometimes, some months, I'll put down that I can only spend $150 on food for the month. That's a really small amount. I know there are people who make it work with less than that, but, you know, and for me, that's a really small amount, especially in Ontario, Canada. And so if I have extra money and I'm trying to save it, it's very unlikely that I'm going to end up saving money, because I'm going to end up dipping into those savings because I was unrealistic with my food budget. So if I set a more realistic food budget, I can end up not splurging on my savings, like, I'm not dipping into my savings, and actually keeping that savings locked. And it's just easier to stay disciplined, right? Like, I'd much rather say, okay, set a $250 to $300 budget for food for the month, and then I get to save $150 that I don't end up touching, versus I put down $150 for food and then $450 for savings, and then I end up blowing up those savings because I got hungry. I don't know. And so money is such a big issue with this one, because, like, I'm afraid of like, I know I'm exhausted. I know this is not gonna work for me, and I need to cut down my hours. But I know, like I'm afraid of being punished financially, right? I'm afraid of, like, not having enough money to make it work for me. And so I feel like that's how a lot of people feel. So what am I gonna do? Okay, so if I cut down my hours, right, I make less money. If I make less money, I have to be more disciplined when it comes to saving for school. What I'm hoping is that by some miracle, I end up finding another way to make money, and that helps me pay for school. The thing is, like, that's also wishful thinking, right? Me being like, yeah, I'm gonna start a business. I don't even have a business in mind. I have some things I'm doing with friends, and I'm obviously doing YouTube, but that's, like, I can't sit here and... How stupid would it be of me to be like, yes, this is the video that's gonna make me a lot of money. Tomorrow I am going to quit my job. That feels so stupid. And, like, obviously I want that to be true, but that's, like, I don't know if that's gonna be true I don't know who's gonna resonate with this. And so, and I'm, like, ranting in my mom's car, doing God knows, like, my neighbor's outside, she probably thinks I'm crazy. Okay, so, like, okay, I just had to stare at myself in the mirror for a little to decompress. Does that make me a narcissist? When I look good, I love staring at myself in the mirror. I don't care what anybody fucking says, okay? Like, I love that shit. When my makeup looks good, I could get drunk and just stare at myself in the mirror all fucking day, all fucking night. There was one time I was at a party with friends. It was like 3 people. It was like me and 2 people and a party. And so we were drinking. And so I ended up going to the bathroom and just staring at myself for like hours. And they kept knocking on the door. This sounds terrible. Mind you, I was unmedicated. Now that I'm thinking about it, that sounds terrible. I shouldn't have ditched my friends and went to the bathroom and just stared at myself in the mirror. But I was... like I go in and out of psychosis, and I feel like sometimes when I stare at myself in the mirror, it's just like a little bit of psychosis, right? I don't know, maybe I'm just making excuses as to how narcissistic that incident was. Like, I just stared at myself. Mind you, I don't talk to these friends anymore just because I never really felt like I really connected with them. I don't know. Now that I think back of that, now like when I say that story out loud, that sounds really bad. Like, you should not ditch your friends and go stare at yourself in the mirror. But there's nothing wrong with staring at yourself in the mirror. You know what I'm saying? Maybe do it on your own time. This video is like all over the place. I don't know how long it's gonna be.
No, we're not using anything. Back there just kind of entertain folks and just hang out, but I need to not do a lot of talking. I want to get you inside because goodness gracious.